How does someone just vanish off of a giant cruise ship in the middle of the ocean with 2,000 people all around them? Like 1 minute she was sitting on the balcony and then the next she's gone. And I swear, if you think this is just some oops she fell overboard story, no, it gets so much worse. Because the second she disappeared, the one guy she was last seen with started lying through his teeth. Amy Lynn Bradley was 23. She had just graduated college, landed her first real job, and gotten her own place. This trip was supposed to be one last vacation with her family before she started her adult life. Except in the beginning, Amy did not want to go. She was afraid of heights and she hated the idea of being stranded in the middle of the ocean. You'll see why that matters later. On March 21st, 1998, Amy, her brother Brad, and her parents boarded the Royal Caribbean Rhapsody of the Seas in San Juan. It's this monster of a boat, literally a floating city, 11 decks tall, nearly 2,000 passengers, and every distraction you can think of. That first night, Amy tried to relax. She was dancing, taking pictures, doing anything to convince herself that she was just being paranoid. And eventually she did let her guard down. I mean, standing there on the deck, surrounded by people and music, you kind of start to understand why people rave about cruises so much. On their second night, they all got ready for one of those big cruise ship dinners, dress clothes, photos, the whole thing. The cruise photographer took a picture of Amy and Brad, and it looked so normal until you realize that that was the last photo ever taken of Amy. And March 24th is when everything changed. That night, Amy and Brad headed to the ship's nightclub to party, and that's where Amy met Alastair Douglas, a member of the ship's band. Everyone just called him Yellow, but from the jump, this man was doing too much. Amy had told her brother that he was being flirty to the point where she was uncomfortable. She quite literally said that he seemed like a jerk. Remember that though, because he comes up in a way that'll make your stomach turn. By 3:30 a.m., Brad decided to call it a night and head back to the room, but Amy decided to stay a little longer. At some point, she came back to the room. Her dad, Ron, saw her. She had said she felt a little motion sick and was gonna go sit out on the balcony just for some fresh air. Around 5:30 a.m., Amy's dad had woken up again and saw her from her hips down, but she looked like she was asleep, so he went back to bed. But by 6 a.m., something had woken him up again. He looked out. The balcony door was cracked open and Amy was gone. At first, he thought maybe she just got up early to go and enjoy the sunrise. But when he couldn't find her and realized that her cigarettes and lighter were gone, he knew that something was wrong. And to make everything worse, the ship was about to dock in Curacao. Thousands of people were about to walk off of that ship. If Amy was still on board, she could easily blend into that crowd and disappear forever. So the family ran to the crew and begged them to make an announcement, but they refused. The captain said it was too early for loudspeakers and they didn't want to alarm anyone. I'm sorry, what? Amy's mom Eva is panicking. She's saying, do not let anybody off of this boat. Somebody's got my daughter. But by 7 a.m., the captain allowed the passengers to leave anyways. And if you're thinking this makes zero sense, you're not alone. Almost an hour later, the captain finally ordered a search. They claimed they'd check all 10 decks, 999 rooms, and still found nothing. But remember, that's after most of the passengers had already gotten off. And that's when they finally got on a loudspeaker and said, well, Amy Bradley, please come to the purser's desk. But by then, if somebody had taken Amy, she would have already been gone. And Brad, he couldn't shake what Yellow had told him earlier. He walked right up to Brad and told him, hey man, I'm so sorry to hear about your sister, but no public announcement had happened yet. Brad said the timing was very suspicious, and that's me being nice because this is beyond suspicious. Even when the family asked to put flyers up of Amy's face, the captain said no because it might alarm guests. I am so done with this man. Eventually, the family had to make a very difficult decision. Stay on the boat and look for Amy, or get off the boat and search for her on the island. They chose to get off. The captain told them the ship is not going to wait for you, but they did not care. They're not about to risk leaving Amy behind. W family. Eventually, the FBI and the Coast Guard joined the search. Helicopters, boats, they searched the ocean for 5 days straight, but nothing. Authorities first suspected that she fell overboard, but that doesn't make any sense because she was a trained lifeguard and terrified of deep water. She knew how dangerous the ocean was. And investigators literally said that there is no evidence that she fell, was pushed, or jumped. And then the FBI found something that really pissed me off. It turns out the ship never did a full search for Amy like they said they did. They only searched common areas because they didn't want to disturb the passengers. Are you tired of hearing that excuse yet? Because I am. Had someone locked Amy in her room, they'd never find her. And here's where the story splits into 1,000 terrifying possibilities. A passenger named Crystal told investigators that she saw Yellow and Amy going up the stairs at 5:45 a.m. but only Yellow came back down. If she's right, then Yellow was the last person to see Amy alive. But Yellow claimed that the last time he saw her was at 1 a.m. Except there's a video of them dancing together at 3 a.m. So again, why are you lying? Yellow also claimed that someone knocked on his door at around 6 a.m. asking if he had seen Amy since he was the last one with her. But here's the problem with that. At 6 a.m., only her dad knew that she was missing. He hadn't even told the rest of the family yet. Nobody else knew. So who exactly was knocking on your door, sir? And if you truly had nothing to do with this, why lie? Now, here's a detail that gives me the creeps. Before dinner the night that Amy disappeared, the ship's photographer took a few pictures like they always do. And later that night, he posted the pictures so people can go browse and buy. But by the next morning, every single photo of Amy was missing. The photographer was confused. He swore he printed them and hung them up. So someone went through and took them down on purpose. That is not just creepy, that is suspicious as hell. But I think the most horrifying theory is that Amy was kidnapped and trafficked. And this one photo emailed to her family might potentially prove it. It shows a woman listed on an site under the name Jazz. She looks exhausted, lifeless. The FBI even ran facial comparisons, and in their personal opinion, that woman is Amy. And then, just when the family thought it couldn't get any worse, they got scammed. A private investigator named Frank Jones came into their life claiming that he could find Amy. He said that he had ex-military guys on the island, secret sources, photos, and he even told them that Amy was alive and being held against her will. He made them believe that they were just days away from bringing Amy back home. And over time, he squeezed them for more and more and more money. $200,000 in total. He even staged a picture. He literally photoshopped fake tattoos onto a woman so that way it looked like Amy's. He told them to fly to Miami, that they're about to be reunited with Amy, but then he ghosted them, and it turns out that it was all a lie. Frank did not have any sources. He wasn't working with a team. He was just taking advantage of a grieving family desperate to find their daughter. He was eventually caught and convicted of fraud, but come on, how do you repay a family for something like that? He did not just steal their money, he stole their time, their hope, their energy, everything. And 27 years later, we still have no answers. Amy's parents got onto that ship with their daughter and they left without her. If you take anything from this, please always trust your gut. And if someone needs help, do not look away. I love you guys so much. Please stay safe out there. Mwah. Group hug.